Welcome to the Winthrop School Board meeting. At this time, I'll go ahead and call our meeting to order. I call this meeting of the Winthrop School Board to order starting at 6 p.m. I don't have my gavel. Please go ahead and rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thanks. For a roll call tonight, we have our student representatives who are both out for the bonfire and parade festivities for homecoming. And we have Tim and Ivy both out today as well. Are there any adjustments to our agenda this evening?
Yes, we have two adjustments. In your packets, you have just a new motion with different numbers for 6.3. And then the second adjustment is we're adding under new business a 6.4, which would be first read of policy GCGA, which is about substitute teachers.
When we do this motion, are you going to read the bit about that, about the policy? You're going to fill us in?
Oh, yes. Yes, I will.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the Winthrop School Board meeting of September 17th, 2025 as written. And all those in favor? Thank you. Okay, we'll open up our meeting to our first public comment section. If there are folks in the room or anyone on Zoom who would like to speak, we ask that you either raise your hand as indicated on the Zoom or come up to our podium. Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and close our first public comment section and enter into our reports, starting with our superintendent report.
All right, good evening. This week is homecoming week, and as we said here at the board meeting, the parade is beginning out on Main Street with the bonfire happening afterwards, and I don't blame our student reps for being there instead of here. We believe that we have filled our 2 vacant positions at the middle and grade school with long-term subs, so at the moment, we are fully staffed. Megan White, the Director of Teaching and Learning, and I will be attending the fall conference on October 23rd and 24th, and we will bring our new learning back to share with all of you. And if anybody has been able to rearrange their schedules to attend that, we're still happy to register you. Sue Fawcett, the Special Ed Director, and I met today with the state to continue our discussions about assuming responsibility for the 3- and 4-year-olds who need services starting next year. And I had spoken about that, I think, at a previous board meeting. All districts have to assume responsibility for this by 2027. And so we are thinking of joining next year, a year earlier than required, with probably just the 4-year-olds. And then the following year, we would be ready to accept all the students. And again, I think the biggest challenge will be meeting the staffing needs around that. And I'm happy to say, have an update on the electric buses. The EPA spokesman, Christy Parsons, and I connected after months of emailing. She's from the Office of Transportation and Air Quality, and she is the air quality lead. And she informed me that the bankruptcy of Lion is not completely finalized, and so that's why the EPA has been kind of in a holding pattern, and they continue to be in a holding pattern. And so until everything is finalized, we will not have clear messaging about what we're going to do with those buses. However, she did provide some clarity in that she said that Lion Electric, as the direct recipient of the 2022 CSB rebate, is the entity that's responsible for all kind of terms and conditions of the award, including the requirement for the buses to serve the school district for 5 years. She also connected me with Ryan Frazier, who is the project lead for the Clean Transportation Group in Washington. And so from our conversations with both Christy and Ryan, I feel confident that we can begin saving some money. And we're going to do so by unplugging. Currently, we've been charging the buses 24/7, and we're going to unplug them to reduce the electricity cost. We're not going to allow them to drain entirely because that's probably one of the things that is worth the most on the bus. But Ryan assured me that we could drain the battery down to 20%
Okay.
charge. So I said, we'll aim for 25 just to be on the safe side. And that when we charge them, we're only going to charge them to 70% since we're not running the buses. Because currently, none of them are road ready. And I think that they're just going to stay in the condition that they are currently in because all of Lion's warranties are now voided with the bankruptcy. And so we would be incurring cost every time we repair them. And our history with our 4 buses is that they don't stay on the road long before they have another error message and they need another repair. So it's just not cost effective for us to be running them. The other substantial change that I feel confident is going forward with is that I'm in consultation with our insurance company and I'm going to drop the majority of the the coverage, or that's what I'm seeking advice on right now, and just maintaining liability in case some type of vandalism or a tree falls on them or something like that. And so as soon as I know the savings on this item, I'll also keep the board informed. And lastly, I want to just report the resignation of Haley Springer, the second grade teacher at Winthrop Grade School. And that concludes my report for the evening.
Thank you very much. Does the board have any questions for Dr. Foley?
No, thank you for that update, though. It is nice to have some movement on those buses. It's a shame that, they are not operating and that they're such a headache for school systems, but nice that there's at least something going on with them.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we'll we'll go ahead with the chair report. I don't have a lot to share other than our October 18th delegate assembly that I'll be attending. That is on a Saturday. And we have no student representative reports today due to our student representatives being at the bonfire and parade this evening. We'll go ahead and open it up to our committee reports, starting with finance. We do have our monthly finance meeting scheduled for October 15th at 4:30. And policy.
We have not met. I do think we have one scheduled, but I don't remember the date. Do you, Ivy, off the top? Yeah, but it's coming up sometime in October.
Okay. And negotiations, we've wrapped up both contracts, and so we'll start anew this year with our administrator contracts. Okay. That concludes our reports, our committee reports, and there are no administrative reports this evening. We also have no business, so we'll start with item 6.1. I'll entertain a motion to approve the Winthrop High School Outing Club overnight field trip to Camden Hills State Park in Camden, Maine, October 17th through the 19th, 2025.
So moved.
Oh, seconded, sorry.
And do we have anyone speaking to that?
Kristen? No? I thought Kristen was going to be here this evening, but I can speak to that a little bit, and this is just part of the outing club to Camden Hills for 2 nights, and it kind of sounds like a fun trip.
Mhm.
And that there will be about 12 students that will be going to that.
Perfect. Any questions? No. Okay. All those in favor? Thank you for your vote. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Winthrop High School Outing Club overnight field trip to Mount Blue State Park in Weld, Maine, November 8th through the 9th, 2025.
So moved.
Seconded. Any comments on that?
This is again to the Mount Blue State Park, and it's the same number of students, and it's for 1 night. And that might be, is that Kristen right there? Okay, Kristen, we just voted on the first one. If you'll just go to the podium. And Cam, could you get the mic for her and just give a little bit more information about the Mount Blue State Park outing that you're wanting to do?
2 seconds. to switch.
Right.
Good evening. I am Kristen Kaiser. I am the art teacher at Winthrop High School and also the, for this point, I am the advisor for the outing club at Winthrop High School. And this is for the Mount Blue trip. That will be the second weekend in November. We've done, this will be our third go at it. It's 1 night over Mount Blue State Park in Weld, Maine. And it's kind of like a soft opening for like cold camping. The temps are like, they're not bitterly cold, but they're like a little bracy. And we hike up Mount Blue to the summit where there's a fire tower and you can check it out. We hike back and there's a shelter there. We can camp out around it and we cook up underneath the shelter. And we've had usually about like 12 kids. So that's how that goes. Also, I want to make a note. There is also the Teens to Trail in Camden Hills.
Yes.
That's okay.
And we just, yeah, they just voted, they did approve that, but if you'd like to expand on it, you will probably do a much better job than I just did.
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. That's 2 nights in Camden Hills. And that's through Teens to Trails, which is a very, it's a statewide organization that works with middle school and high school outing clubs in Maine. And this will be a group conglomerate of other high school groups. This is for the high school leagues. They have other things for middle school, but we're the high school one. And 2 nights on, and we camp out around the base of Mount Batty at the state park there. And then there's going to be like a sunrise hike. So you kind of start dark morning, catch a sunrise, be one of the first people in the nation to see the sun come up. And they'll have stars. And there's also going to be a rock climbing outfitter there as well that will, for an additional fee if kids want to do that. And that is like a professional rock climbing outfit that can climb on the side of Mount Batty there, which I think my kids and myself will really enjoy.
Sure.
Any questions on this I can help with, or this will be, I'll be camping out. We'll be using the school van and also my truck. So the other chaperone will drive my truck because my truck is like rigged for fun. And we have all the fun tools in and such and camping gear.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, sounds cold, but fun.
Yeah, it's good. It's character building, right? So,
Okay, all those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you very
Enjoy.
much.
Yeah.
I'm sure, Kristen, that the suggestion was just to take a lot of photos. We'd love to see them. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, item 6.3, this is attached separately, not in the agenda with the new numbers. I'll entertain a motion to transfer funds between articles in the FY 25 budget to ensure that no line is overdrawn to in accordance with Maine law and as recommended by the superintendent of schools.
So moved.
Seconded. Any discussion at all or questions?
Is it common practice? I'm not familiar with the budget.
Oh.
Is it something that commonly happens over the course of the year? or
It
did we
is
just
not,
use-
it is not unusual Um, and especially this last year where we knew that we knew in the beginning that there were places that were under budgeted. And so it's not unusual to have to transfer some funds, at the end of the year. And you just want to make it whole so that none of them are, the big thing is to end up with some money, which we did. So that's a celebration. And this is usually something you might see commonly in districts where for one reason or another, one article has gone over.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. Okay, item 6.4, I'll entertain a motion, I'll entertain a
Yes.
motion for the first read of GCGA. All those in favor? Or I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no.
So, so moved.
So moved. Thanks, Erica. Seconded. Flying blind here. Okay,
Well,
and
it wasn't,
Dr. Foley is gonna.
yes, and I
present
could have
for us.
written that out better for you. So you did a great job of ad-libbing. So thank you for that. So I think most people are aware that staffing shortages are an issue in districts throughout Maine. And especially when you have a shortage, as we just have had, well, we've had two shortages. So we have been applying for the middle school interventionist position for a while. And I do think I will have by one of the next board meetings, I think we have found somebody that will work out. And so I'm happy about that. But we did, as you just heard me report out this evening, we had a second grade teacher leave. And so when you are having to advertise at this time of the year, as you can imagine, the pool becomes smaller. And so this is where, if you remember, our theme for the year is innovate to elevate. And so sometimes you have to be kind of creative. And so we have found somebody that we are very excited about that can serve as a long-term sub. But what happened when I was looking at our policy, and as you know from last year, that we are the policy committee is working hard to get all of our policies updated, and we're going through them as quickly as we can. But I realized that we had a clause in our current policy that really is making our pool fewer than it needs to be. And so by state statute, subs need to have a high school diploma, and you're always looking for, when you're looking to fill positions, you're always looking for the most highly qualified person. But many times, they may not be a certified teacher for many reasons. They can be in the process. And right now, your current policy reads that they cannot sub if they're not certified teachers, they cannot sub for more than 90 days. And I am recommending that we strike that because that is not what Maine School Management recommends, and it's going to prohibit us from hiring who we think to be the most highly qualified candidates. So I can understand that this is a policy that was adopted in 1989. And I can tell you that in 1989, because I started working in schools in 1990, it wasn't unusual to have 50 to 100 applicants for an elementary position. We are in much, much different times than that. So this current policy as written is, I think, hurting us. And normally this would go through the policy committee, and we would have discussion there first. But in this case, it's just very time sensitive and I need direction on how to proceed. And so if the board wishes to stay with the current policy, then that's going to put us in a different direction than what we're currently going. But I need to know that and we'll adjust with what the board's will is. I do have Principal Violet here tonight too, if you just, want her to speak any further about staffing shortages. But so she's here to help answer questions and I'm here too.
Does the board have any questions?
Yeah, I would like to understand it a little bit better. So a long-term sub wouldn't necessarily have to be a certified teacher. Is that
Correct.
what we're saying?
And they would have to at least have a high school diploma. And of course, we are always looking for the most highly qualified person. And in the situation of, right, I mean, so yeah, so that is right. I mean, you want somebody who's highly qualified and you think can do the best job for the position.
Okay. And so does that mean we could end up with someone who doesn't necessarily have teaching experience as a long-term sub? I'm trying to understand how that whole process
no,
works. Like
that- that's a-
where
no.
does the lesson planning come from? How does all of that transpire if it isn't
So I'll try to give you a few specifics to show you how complicated the certification system is. So we have had employed previously in this district someone who almost had attained their doctorate in an area with experience, but because of the position that they were in, I had to request a waiver from the state. So that's how highly qualified they were, but because they didn't have the correct certification, they were not considered highly qualified and they weren't certified for the position of which they were serving. So it doesn't mean that they don't have experience.
Mhm.
So the one position that we have that I'm working on of these two positions, the person has like 30 years of experience, but they were teaching in another state.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so they're awaiting their certification
Okay.
from Maine.
Thank
Another position that we're looking at, they definitely have experience with working with kids, but they're working towards that.
Okay.
So those are a couple of examples. It doesn't mean they don't have any experience. It's
Mhm.
just they don't have experience or they may have experience
Mhm.
even teaching,
The main sort of.
but they don't have the courses that the state requires to get to the point that they're even awarded a conditional certificate.
Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
Maybe?
All right, I have a few concerns because for me, when I look at where the students' test scores in and how far Maine alone has dropped from being among some of the top of the United States to being at the bottom pretty much, I'm very concerned. I'm also very concerned where a lot of kids have disability, learning disabilities. They have another broad spectrum of stuff going on, stressors, barriers. I'm really concerned where we leave open at least a high school diploma. That could be my daughter who just graduated high school, who has no degree, certification, knowledge, training, or whatever, in particular areas that are very crucial to our school system right now. And that's concerning. and leaving that open and then trusting that the decisions are made to hire the right people. It's, for me, that's concerning. And to safeguard students' education, working with students with disabilities, it takes a lot of training in order to do that. Understanding even just the basics of child with autism, ADHD, how they function, the frustrations, different barriers in life, that's concerning. I mean, even as an adult with experience of working with children and people that I have in the community, especially in mental health, it's even challenging for myself, even with all the degree and the knowledge. So just trying to pull somebody in that has at least a high school diploma, to me, that places our students at a higher disadvantage. I know with driving a bus in Winthrop for a short time to help out and hearing some of the feedback from students with some of the subs that have come in that either sat on their phone all day, the kids pretty much had free range, in another broad spectrum of stuff, or they sat and watched a Google but didn't have any in-classroom instruction. They didn't feel like they were being challenged. They felt some students were being favored, some were being just kind of left. These are concerning. So for me, I don't feel comfortable with that. Our students deserve better education where they're all struggling. It's not preparing them for the next levels. Mental health, kids are struggling there as well. And to me, I don't feel comfortable with this.
So Ivy, the, that is the minimum standard that we're talking about with at least a high school diploma. And so, and I think that was, so that just is the minimum standard, but were there other concerns? I mean, did you want to up that minimum standard? Because I mean, it's just going to make, so I guess well, I hear exactly, I think I hear your concerns that we want highly qualified teachers in front of our students. And we definitely, we share that goal. There's no disagreement there. Go ahead.
I just think with the deterioration of where parents are feeling, the way they are, the lack of trust in a lot of our just basic life, our government, our schools, our medical fields, with a lot of this going on, to leave this open and not be that bridge to give that support and say, hey, we are looking for the best for your student. We are willing to do this. If we can change this to give that confidence back and that trust and integrity back to our community, we can really start bridging this gap and help bring families back into the schools to bring that support. And me being, who I am, I want to help bridge that. And I think where families are feeling frustrated because they are working several jobs just to try and keep up with the increasing stuff, to be able to take that burden and that stressor off a family, to know that there's one place they can kind of depend that their kids are going to get an education without having to overload them, because, the test scores are down. They're not getting that challenge they need. So if we can change that wording to show that, yeah, they have to have at least a high school diploma, but they need to meet these credentials as well to ensure that our students are getting the best substitutes.
But what are the credentials you're suggesting? I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, okay. So I guess I would need to hear what the addition that you were wanting to add, but I also want to paint the picture of what without this revision of removing the 90
question.
days, then what you're looking at, what we're currently looking at is that a person can serve in it for 90 days, and then we have to get a different sub in there for 90 days. And so not having continuity for kids is more concerning to me than, I know the intent of this was, hey, we want a highly certified teacher in there, and we do want highly certified teachers. And it's the administrators, it's the building principal's job when we have any sub in a classroom, but especially, I would say, a long-term sub to be, we make sure we include those individuals in workshops. So we have a workshop that's coming up on October the 10th. We treat them as if they are a certified teacher that's continuing to grow. But when you limit your policy, then what you're saying is, okay, then they can only serve for 90 days, and then we're going to get another individual in there. Because obviously, if we had someone right now that was highly certified, of course, that's who we're going to hire. We are going to hire the one that we feel like is going to help our student achievement, just as you're saying.
I do want to acknowledge that there was someone in the audience who would like to speak on this issue, I'm assuming. Could you just hold for a second? So after discussion in the past, this has been past practice, after the board has talked about it, then someone could speak on an issue after the
If you
fact.
want to allow that,
But,
yeah.
so I would allow that. I don't want to get into it now. I want the board to have a chance to talk about it. But if you want the opportunity, I just want to acknowledge that you are welcome to do that at the podium. Yeah. Mhm. Thank you. And I will speak to this as well. Libby, did you want to say anything before I do?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, in thinking from a mental health standpoint, consistency and relationship building is really, really important. And so I think when we are looking at it as 90 days and someone new will be in the classroom, and changing that would be more of a detriment than being able to keep that consistent person and build that strong relationship. But I understand your concerns and I thank you for bringing them up. Absolutely.
I feel like the alternative of leaving it feels like it could be more detrimental. In explaining it that way, Becky, it certainly helps put it in context of what you guys are facing and trying to fill those roles.
Yeah. I think it's also important to kind of think also while we have declining test scores and Winthrop is making some, changes to get those scores back up. We're increasing our literacy, we're doing some really great things here. I don't think that we should discount anyone who could have a lot of experience and maybe only has a high school diploma and they're working toward their teaching certificate. Because right now, as the policy stands, we've gotten here, what you're saying, low test scores, et cetera, with this policy. So I don't see a harm in the changing of the policy.
Yeah, good point.
To bring on people with great experience and great passion. And, you can, if there's a good fit as far as an employee that works well, that loves the students, you can always work on the credential side of things to improve their skills. I think really it's the good fit of the personality and the drive of the students that is important. Ivy?
Yeah, the time-wise, that's your arena. But I do agree, working in mental health, consistency is because you build that bond and that establish that's extremely critical. But for me, it was just where it says in any teaching assignment must have at least a high school diploma. There's got to be some sort of wording that we can include, that they would be of people with experience or with, I don't know, not the word credentials, but enough to add on to that part is what I'm talking about. So that the community knows that we're not just going to hire somebody straight out of high school, although there are some amazing kids that are extremely intelligent that do have the experience. But just that extra to say, hey, we're going to hire somebody who has a lot of experience working with children or in education and whatever, just to give that,
Mhm.
that, hey, we are looking for the best. It's just nice
Yeah.
to have that.
Yeah, I do agree with you because I think a little bit in the context of that's where I was going was kind of not understanding what sort of candidate you'd be looking for that you'd be putting in the role long term. I don't know if that's necessary in the policy. I'm not sure. In my world, it doesn't necessarily have to be, you can have a more broad policy, but you can put it in the posting, right? That you're looking for something very specific.
Yep, and I understand the whole degree stuff. I mean, I work in mental health. I don't have my psychology degree quite yet, close. But I mean, I work and I'm working towards it, you know, so yes, people should have that opportunity because they do come with a great
Mhm.
skill set as it is. So it would be nice to be able to provide that opportunity. It's a great way for somebody to get their foot in the door to education, especially where we desperately need people. But yeah, just to have that little extra wording to say, hey, we are going to get somebody who's qualified in these areas for you.
I think we could add something like, Winthrop Public Schools will always seek the most highly qualified individual for open positions. And I think that kind of gets to that.
Yeah, because I mean, that the rate for autism and ADHD is extremely high, and to have people with that knowledge would be extremely helpful to have.
And I can bring that back when we do the second read with that revision. So I think with that adjustment, we could still vote on.
Okay, perfect. And so the board's feeling pretty good about that?
Mhm.
And did you want to speak after the fact? Were you good? Thank you. Did you want to speak up at the podium? Because the people on Zoom can't necessarily hear you. So if you would like to speak to that, that would be valuable. And please state your name and where you're from.
My name is Amanda, and I'm moved to Winthrop 6 years ago. So what I was saying was my son is autistic and he's in high school. And when we moved 6 years ago, we had a lot of issues with him going to school in the middle school, and a lot of substitutes didn't know how to handle him because he wasn't verbal. And I had to come pick him up a lot of times because they didn't know. And my only issue was not being able to have someone to have experience with someone that is not verbal or autistic or any of those credentials was concerning. And what you guys spoke about was awesome. Like, I didn't have to say anything. Like, I didn't have to object. You guys basically did it yourselves. So I that was my only objection, was having someone not being able to handle someone, like she said, with ADHD or in the autism spectrum or any of that, because I have two children in the high school that one has a ADHD and my youngest has autistic and he has developmental delay. So that was my only concern, is not being able to have someone that can, I don't want to say handle him, but like teach him or be able to communicate with him, because I know there's a lot of, there's teachers that are not, I understand some of them cannot be there 24/7 and they get sick and they can't be there, but having someone substitute, being able to be able to do the same thing his teacher would be able to do to calm him down would be awesome. Like, I get that the shortage of teachers is understandable, but like I said, my concern was not being able to have someone that didn't meet the standards of someone being there. But like I said, I don't have no objections. You guys did it yourselves. So
Thank you. We
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate your comment. Amanda, can we have your last name, please? Yeah, could you speak it into the microphone, please?
Montanez,
Do you mind spelling that for me?
Montanez.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate your comment. Okay. All those in favor for the second read? I mean, first read, excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your vote. Really wing it. Okay. We'll open it up to our school board comment or our public comments. our second session. If there are folks in the room who'd like to get up and speak, we ask that you go up to the podium and give us your name and location. And if there's anyone on Zoom, we just ask that you raise your hand.
We have 2 on Zoom and one of them is Megan.
Okay. Looks like we'll go ahead and close our public comments section number 2 and open it up to item 8, school board comments. Okay. And at this time, we'll have our executive session. We'll invite those who have asked to stay here to remain behind for us at executive session, and we invite the rest of you to head home. I'll entertain a motion to enter into executive session regarding personnel matters pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056A, the superintendent's goals for the 2025 through 2026 school year.
So moved.
Seconded.
And all those in favor? Okay, we'll enter into executive session starting at 6:42.